Hi guys, and welcome to On the DL. This is episode 23, which we just had a 30-second discussion of which episode it was.
Can't keep up with everything in lockdown.
No, nothing. Lan, and today we are going to talk about home training. Unfortunately, in the current climate, home training is a huge part of our life now as a client and as a coach. We're having to deal with it on a daily basis. And today we wanted to cover a few positives, a few negatives, but a few ways to work around those negatives. Lan has a pretty sweet setup at home. So she's been doing this for way longer than we have.
I can kind of tap out on this one, can't I? I don't have to put up with home training because we work from home. So yes, I am one of those fortunate people that has a really good setup at home. And look, a fair few people in the last couple of lockdowns have invested in a decent amount of equipment, particularly when we're talking about our athletes. So the powerlifters that you train, for instance, Dak, and for me, similar powerlifters, ollie lifters, all that sort of jazz that I do nutrition for. Luckily, most of them have invested in a half-decent setup, so they've got barbells, plates, those sorts of things at home. But it's not the same as a gym. Even when you're at home and you've got a good setup, it's just not the same as a gym. So whether you're working with bodyweight exercises, resistance bands, or a small little setup of your own, they're all going to present certain challenges and certain benefits, and we sort of wanted to try and focus on the positive a little bit today, didn't we, Jack? We're like,
yes,
there's enough shit.
What's going on with your lighting? Is that the sun?
It's the sun behind me, so I'm going to have some flashes, guys. Just deal with me. So you're going to see.
We'll have to put up like a little warning, like a little flash warning. With my clients, I know that the first lockdown, I've got, as you would, clients all over Australia, and the first lockdown, for most of them, a lot of clients had no equipment. Like, I was doing at-home programs for everyone. And then, the second and the third and fifth and the sixth lockdown, a lot more clients now. Like, I think I only have maybe 2 or 3 that don't have equipment, like, at all. So I think a lot of people are obviously catching on that this is something that we're going to have to, work with for a while. So which is awesome. As a client and a coach, you definitely need to have, equipment definitely makes it easier, but it's not impossible. For me, and you would be as well, programming people with no equipment, it's actually quite surprising what you can do.
And it forces you to be creative as a coach, and even if you don't have a coach and you're at home, it forces you to think outside of the box and allows you to get a bit exploratory in your training. So, sometimes we take for granted what we have at the gym. We sort of don't realise how much variety and how many options a gym presents until it's gone. And then we find things like resistance bands and we're like, wow, I can't believe how many things we can do with these.
It's a good replacement for, a cable stack. And I did a video recently about how you can make reps and certain exercises a lot more difficult if you don't have access to weights. It's the pro of it is convenience with training at home, but a huge con is definitely the lack of equipment. But in saying that, Google is a powerful tool if you don't have a coach. You can look up a million different ways what you can do with a band. There are numerous ways to make a squat harder without having a beautiful barbell at the gym.
Yeah, because we think of progression or overload as always being something that has to be done with weight, but it can be done with repetitions, time under tension, all sorts of other methods.
Pauses, pulses, more range. Like, it's quite surprising how hard you can make an exercise.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of tempo when I have to write up training for people at home. Tempo training seems to get that burn going, and then they feel really successful.
That lactic acid burn. What you got to be careful about is that if you as a coach and somebody who's maybe self-programming at home, you can't make it too hard in the beginning, because if you're stuck in a 12-week lockdown and you make it too hard in the first 4 weeks, like you have nowhere to go. Then you run out of exercises, which can be a huge pain.
Oh, huge. And that's another reason that we both advocate for tracking when you're at home doing home training, because one of the things that motivates people is seeing progress, and progress is never linear, right? Like, so it's always going to vary a little bit, and different types of progress are still progress. So if you're going from week 1 of lockdown doing a 30-second plank to end of lockdown doing a 60-second plank, that's a huge achievement. You know, it's
100%.
something that you can look at and see as a motivator during that time, and also when you're heading back into the gym. So what other ways can we sort of progress people with at-home training if they've got little equipment, Dak? Because you're definitely the pro on that side. I do a little bit of programming.
A little something.
Not my main thing no more.
There's so many ways, you know, especially with like push-ups, you do more range of motion. You can use your bands. Like bands honestly, like you know, supersets are a huge one. You know, supersets, you obviously do them in the gym, but at home, like you can cut your rest time. You know, I know that doing a pause and a slow eccentric and a slow concentric, and then maybe supersetting it with something that's hitting the same muscles but in a different way, like that would kill me.
Something explosive maybe, or
I mean, as terrible as jump squats are and wall sits are, they fucking hurt. So
wall sits are awesome though, honestly. Don't you just feel like you can push through anything with a wall sit? You just like, come on.
I suck at I mean, and you know, so one thing last lockdown I learned is that there is a million variations of wall sits that you can do.
It's true. It's very true. You know what though? One thing that is kind of good about at-home training, and because you mentioned shortening your rest breaks, the efficiency of training at home.
Yes.
So when we go to the gym, we walk in, we socialise for a little bit, we say hi to everyone, we get into our session, we warm up, we do our session, we take nice big breaks, we wander off, we talk to people again, and then an hour and a half to 2 hours later, we're done. Whereas when we're training at home, you can pretty much get your session done in 30 to 45 minutes and really push yourself quite hard.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a con of training at home is definitely missing that social aspect.
Definitely.
But like I have a client currently over in Sydney who's in lockdown, and she's training at home, and one of the things that she first said was, I love how quick the sessions are. Like, I love that I can get it done in 45 minutes. I can do it in my lunch break, and then it's done for the day. I get to finish work and then just stay in lockdown.
It teaches you something about yourself though as well, doesn't it? Because then when you go back into the gym, you can see how much time you waste, and you might be better at improving your efficiency when you go back into the gym.
Yeah, definitely. Like, definitely it can show you, you know, how much time you are actually wasting. But then also I think it shows you, I guess in a negative way, how much you actually appreciate the social aspect of your training as well. I think the social aspect, you know, I'm definitely someone who, you know, puts their headphones on, I get in there to do my work. So I do like a little bit of social stuff, but not a huge amount, whereas I know a lot of people really enjoy having that 20-minute conversation before and after, you know, wasting that 40 minutes. But in saying that, which you probably would have seen as well, you know, they do like Zoom sessions or Facebook sessions and stuff where you can kind of get more of that social aspect in lockdown.
Absolutely. Hitting up your regular trainer or checking out things like the B-Fit and F45. Even Les Mills is back with a vengeance.
Then she'll never go away, will she?
So all of these things are useful in that they kind of create an appointment for you. So rather than it being passive and you really not thinking about it, or you maybe putting it off, you've got that appointment time where you've got to commit to it.
Yeah.
You know,
I think sorry, you go.
No, you go for it, Bob.
I was going to say, I think that would be what you said about the appointment structure, I think that would be really good for someone who, you know, maybe used to train at night after work, but obviously now they're not going to work and they're not going to the gym. So maybe they can make that appointment, you know, at 6 o'clock, even though, you know, they're sitting on the couch, they don't want to move. If they have that appointment and they set that up with, you know, Be Fit or, you know, whatever outlet they have, at least then that can kind of keep them. And I mean, like, they wouldn't charge much for those. They'd be like $5 or $10 maybe for.
I'm not even sure, to be honest. I reckon it'd be a weekly fee of some sort. But I'm not sure. But look, the appointment system works well, full stop, right? Like, we know that as personal trainers.
Accountability.
When you have an appointment and you are paying for something, you are far more likely to show up and actually do it. I think one of the habits people fall into in lockdown is one of two things. They either try to keep their old routine, even though everything has changed. Or they completely throw out routine. Full stop. Exactly right.
I've had, like, I feel like at the moment, and it's really bad because it's, you know, it's just really hard for people, you know, like every week I'll have at least, and it'll chop and change between people. One week I'll have a small group of people talking about how they're, you know, they threw out their routine and they had a really bad week from lockdown and stuff like that. And then the next week it'll be another group of clients that have the same week. And I feel like it's just like a ever going, like one week you kill it, another week you don't kill it. And I feel like having that structure, you know, using your calendar, forcing yourself to set in those workouts, whether it's for yourself, whether you set a time aside to go for a walk with a neighbor or something like that, or take the dog for a walk, like definitely keeping yourself accountable and having that reminder, or getting a housemate or a partner to kind of do it with you, or, you know, say get off your ass and get outside. Like, it's whatever you can utilize, I guess.
Dak and I were talking about friendly competition often helps as well, you know, like setting a challenge, like by the end of the week, I'm going to do this and you're going to do it.
You're going to do it too.
We do have that nature, don't we? Like, if you involve someone else in it, you do feel more accountable, but it also gives you that excitement factor that you don't get when you're just doing it on your own. And the other thing is, it's a good time to try things that you wouldn't normally try, like Pilates sessions online, yoga sessions online, all of these things that you might not normally do because you're so in that habit of go to the gym, do what you do at the gym, go home. Now's the time to try all of these things because that's not limited. You can do that in your lounge room. In fact, it might be beneficial to be doing it in your lounge room because it's your space. Exactly right.
Yeah. So, Speaking of challenges, I saw one of my clients is actually she's doing 50 push-ups a day. I think it was 50. 50 push-ups a day. I think it's for 30 days or so that's once again, like, that's a challenge. Like, it's only push-ups, but it's just something to help you feel accomplished.
And I think that's important. Boxes is really satisfying, right? Have you ever written a to-do list?
I have one that's not finished right now.
How good is it, though, ticking them off? I don't know what it is. Something in your head just clicks when you tick that box. There's this really satisfying feeling. It's like the dopamine rush is right there.
So, I am a winner.
Exactly right. It's a bizarre feeling, but it's a real feeling, and it is motivating. It does make you want to do more. When you feel like you've achieved something, you're always going to be more drawn to going back and doing more of it. So I think where at-home training can be seen as a really detrimental thing in your progress and you can equally switch it to be a beneficial situation, just not necessarily for the same purposes, right? So if you are a power lifter and you've got no equipment at home and no access to equipment, focusing on trying to get stronger right now is going to do your head in, right? Like, it's not going to do anything good for you. Switching your focus, however, to increasing your metabolic capacity, like, you know, increasing your cardiovascular.
What you can control.
That's right. they're all going to have positive knock-on effects when you do go back to training. So rather than banging your head against a brick wall and trying to do 1,000 push-ups with 12 resistance bands on to replicate bench press.
It's the same as bench. I think you can either focus on the fact that you can't do your chosen sport, and you can get sad and do nothing for 6 months, or however long we're going to be in this mess, or you can go, okay, I can't work on this aspect of my training, but I can work on, like you said, your cardiovascular endurance. It could be whatever you want, but I guess it's like we always say, control the controllable.
Exactly, it's so true. I think the terms of the year are control the controllable and pivot. You've got to be able to pivot in 2020, 2020.
Every time. I don't know if you've watched it or not, but every time I hear the word pivot, I think of the Friends episode where they're trying to go up the stairs. Have you seen it?
Yes, with the couch.
With Ross. Yeah, that gets me every time.
Yeah, it's so true though. Like there's certain odd things that have come out of this pandemic that could be really beneficial in the end. Learning to control the controllables and be a little bit okay with some things being out of your control is very powerful, because it stops you from panicking about the things that you have no ability to change. Sorry, I shouldn't say stops you, it helps you. And pivoting is something that we all need to get better at over the years anyway, whether it's in business, social life, that doesn't really matter. It's going to be beneficial if we can learn to pivot when we're restricted one way or another. So there's some key things that are going to come out of this pandemic that, whilst we're going through it, we're not going to appreciate, but when we come out the other side, we will see the value.
I think so too. I think, as challenge, obviously everybody's lockdown challenges are completely different, but I think in regards to training, I think it definitely teaches you, one of the things that I thought about when we started the lockdown was it's really going to show the world exactly who really wants to be a powerlifter, because I think it's really easy to do powerlifting when there are competitions coming up, but when there's no competitions, you're trying to get better at a sport that you can't really express your strength right now. So I was like, this is really going to show you the people that are actually committed to getting better, rather than the show that is a platform.
That's a really good point. I honestly hadn't thought of that. I guess because I've had the benefit of the vast majority of my lifters have access to equipment or a gym or I hadn't really thought of that. But yes, it's very true, isn't it? Without that carrot dangling, a lot of people waver in their dedication to their sport, and that definitely does show you whether or not you're an athlete or you're just playing.
Or you just want to get on that platform. Like, I mean, it's exactly the same as bodybuilders. I mean, a powerlifting prep is exhausting and, exhilarating, but, if you have to change things for a powerlifting prep, I feel like it's not as damaging as maybe, cutting extremely hard for 12 weeks and then there being no point.
Particularly at the moment, because they keep pushing the dates back just a month or just 2 months.
And then they cancel them.
People stay in the deficits, because they can't really afford to come out of them. So they'll do like mini refeeds and things like that, but it's not the same as reverse dieting. From a hormonal health perspective, it's going to ruin a lot of bodybuilders. And there's not a huge amount they can do about it. If they're dedicated to the sport, they're going to keep pushing with it. I think the smart ones will have stretch targets and their end goal in mind. So, they might have a comp at the end of next year that they're focused on, and have little goals in between that. If this comp goes ahead, I'll step on stage for that comp or But it's a really, really tricky one. And to be honest, I had not really thought about that at all. So it's a good point, Dak.
Yeah, it's interesting, I guess you can look at it, I think, your gen pop, people who just train to obviously feel better in their day-to-day life, and, get fit, have different issues in comparison to, powerlifters and bodybuilders and stuff like that, or, even people trying to go to the Olympics that can't. Like I think everyone has their different challenges with training in the current climate. But I guess the biggest thing that, I think athletes will have that negative mindset in terms of, I'm getting better at my sport. They wouldn't have an issue with training. They would probably be pretty self-motivated even training at home. They wouldn't miss a session, but I think the mental aspect would definitely get to them, not being able to be the athlete that they actually want to be. And then I guess for Gen Pop people, they wouldn't have the motivation. They're like, well, what's the point?
Because one is an identity, whereas the other is an activity or a part of your lifestyle, I guess. Like, I don't think I could go more than a week without training or doing something, but I'm far from an athlete. Like, I don't, if I have to skip a couple of days, it doesn't terrify me. Whereas as an athlete, it feels like every session you miss is, it's that those 1%ers really do matter as an athlete. Yeah, it's a very interesting thought process, actually. Yeah, good on you, Dak.
It's like an onion,
It is, but it just goes to show perspective as well, doesn't it? Like it had never occurred to me, because all of my athletes have the ability to continue training. So it just really wasn't big for me, but you've obviously had other experiences where you've seen powerlifters have to go without their equipment and everything, and you kind of gone, ooh, this is a different challenge altogether.
Show me the love for the sport. Definitely. So I think the main focus about training at home is definitely trying to create a routine around it, whether you're an athlete trying to just get better when you can't compete, or whether you're a Gen Pop just trying to lose some weight or just put on some mass or just move. I think definitely creating that routine, keeping yourself accountable, getting people in your life that can keep you accountable as well, and you're listening to your body, you just got to stay healthy. Just because you're at home doesn't mean that you can sit on the couch and expect to be happy. You got to do those things that you don't really want to do at the time. Like sitting on the couch for 8 hours, I mean, it's a dream, but if I did it, I would feel like shit. So it's like, you got to force yourself to do those things. You go for a 20-minute walk when you don't want to. Go train for 20 minutes. Go train for 20 minutes a day. And that's better than not training at all.
That's it. The COVID world has had us all so focused on not getting COVID that we've all forgotten about all of the other components. It's still important to be healthy. Diabetes kills people, heart disease kills people. There's so many other aspects to your health that are really important and that are far more likely to kill you than COVID. So let's refocus our energy on, again, control the controllable. You can eat better, you can move more, you can do all of these things, and you can do them right now, and that will put you in a better position health-wise in 10, 20, 30 years' time. I'm not saying not to do what you need to do for COVID. Wear your masks, social distance, do all of that. I'm just saying don't forget the other stuff.
Yes.
It's all still there. It's all still important, guys.
Take your mask off and eat your veggies.
Just as long as everyone's 1.5 meters away.
Yes. Yeah.
No, that's it. Look, I think our goal today was to make sure people knew the pros and the cons of at-home training, and to hopefully give some tips and tricks on how to get motivated. Maybe Dak and I could post a few little videos of our favourite at-home exercises this week on our YouTube, so that you guys can have some options to play with. I know Dak's already got a few up on, is it on the Pro Raw YouTube as well.
On there's some things on the Pro Raw YouTube. There's some things on my Instagram.
Awesome.
You know, I did. Yeah, there's definitely a few home workouts there. But yeah, we can definitely chuck something up on the YouTube just so that there's a home workout there, so you can just definitely make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, we'll give you some tools and some tips and some tricks, and feel free to comment, like, subscribe, shoot us questions. We honestly don't get too many questions at the moment. We'd love some questions. We want to make the content as relevant as we possibly can to you guys. So shoot us questions, help us out. We'll probably leave you there today, guys, because realistically, Dak and I can just keep talking. So we've got to learn how to sign off.
Yeah, I know. We're just going to end it. Just press stop now. No. I think we've covered everything. Definitely comment anything that, even if you have an idea for a home workout, anything you want to see, definitely subscribe, share the shit out of everything we got. And we will see you next episode.
See you guys.
Bye.